Political instability has been a common theme throughout Russia's history, pushing some people away. Massive Russian emigration began after the collapse of the autocracy and the imperial system in March 1917. Following the Bolshevik coup and the start of the Civil War, the outflow rose dramatically, especially after it became clear that the Bolsheviks would have the upper hand. White emigres, sometimes overtaken by complete panic, scrambled aboard ships in an atmosphere of utter chaos and panic. During the entire period of the Russian Civil War, roughly 1.3 to 2 million people left the country. Such a scale of immigration isn't happening at the moment, but if conscription were to be introduced, who knows? And in September 1922, a steamer full of Russian intellectuals, chosen personally by Lenin to be exiled, landed at the German port of Stettin with their families. Lenin had drawn up a list which he sent to the new General Secretary of the ruling party, Joseph Stalin, of those institutions whose leading thinkers had no place in the new vision for his nation. These individuals to be shipped abroad included philosophers, agronomists, economists, historians, and sociologists. And so out went many brilliant minds. In the opinion of Lenin, the Bolsheviks needed as little competition in the battle of ideas as possible. And this is not so different from Putin today, as a Kremlin official was quoted saying, "In such difficult times, many people show their true colors. They vanish from our lives themselves. Some people are leaving their posts. Some are leaving their active work life. Some leave the country and move to other countries. That is how cleansing happens." Like Lenin, Putin wants to cleanse his country from those he perceives as traitors. As it turned out in history, the exiles sent away were the lucky ones. A few years later, after power changed hand, intellectuals who were thought to be loyal ended up being exiled and killed as Stalin purged his country of anyone he even remotely distrusted. And so, when it came to those who escaped, Russia's loss was West's gain. One recent estimate has it that more than 13,000 academic works were published by those exiled from the USSR between 1922 and 1939. Most had gone to France and Germany, and some to the United States. And over the last few months, hundreds of thousands of mostly well-educated Russians are leaving, perhaps as many as 1/3 People from the banking sector, IT, academia, journalism. In other words, the brightest of Russia's future. And while historically nations like Germany, France, UK, and US have taken defectors from Russia, now things have for some reason changed. Even though the historical precedent is not that different. When supporters of the White Army were leaving the monarchy during the years of the revolution, they had the support of liberal countries behind them. USA, for example, even sent in its own troops to fight the Bolsheviks and provide support to the White Army. And now history might be repeating itself, with the Russian government taking a sudden extreme turn away from democratic values. People are once again seeing the writing on the walls, and some are choosing not to be a part of what might be coming next. But unfortunately, those same doors that were once open are now shut, and Russians have far less options with regards to places they can easily escape to. The EU, US, UK and Canada have closed their airspace to Russian flights. On 25th of March, the high-speed railway between St. Petersburg and Helsinki was suspended, closing the last direct train route between Russia and the European Union. So instead, Russians are forced to flee elsewhere, and their options are becoming limited. Turkey, Central Asia, and the Caucasus are the only easy options, and for most, these locations can only be temporary. Leaving Moscow and starting a new life in Tbilisi is not something everyone is prepared to do. Despite this city offering so much, it is not a replacement for Moscow, but maybe London or Berlin is. So instead, Western countries should be giving educated Russians opportunity to easily leave and integrate into Western countries, to exacerbate the brain drain in Russia, making it squander its most valuable and limited resource. It should be easy for educated and reasonable people who do not support War Z to set up shop and bring their business to Europe, USA, or anywhere they like. And considering that this war seems to have settled into a long-term game of attrition, such a long-term strategy would pay off as it did in the past. What we have instead are Russians who cannot fly directly to the West after paying exorbitant amounts for their tickets, and once they have arrived in Europe, are unable to open bank accounts, nor are they able to access the funds they left in their Russian banks. As a result, many are forced to return. All this on top of massively hardened visa requirements. Latvia and Czech Republic have suspended granting visas to Russian citizens altogether. Not to mention that any moment, leaving Russia might become much more difficult. Those who are younger and traveling alone are taken aside and interrogated. The contents of their bags and cell phones are searched. Apparently they are looking for defectors who are trying to get to Ukraine to fight for the enemy. And many questions are asked. Why do you need your diploma, your birth certificate, your old letters or photographs? Why are you bringing your dog? And why are you willing to pay $1,000 for a one-way ticket to Armenia? The noose is tightening. Very soon, Putin might no longer be able to afford to even let the traitors leave. So unfortunately, the many Russians congregating in cafes in Yerevan and Tbilisi, some of whom would be arrested and jailed if they return to Russia, are stuck, labeled as traitors back at home and as war criminals away. And so we should be generous to the people who are trying to escape the new regime. For their sake and ours, Russia's loss will once again be the West's gain. This is my Patreon map. All the people on this map are my VIP supporters who make this channel possible. If you enjoyed my message, then please consider becoming a sponsor and add yourself to my map. Bitcoin, Patreon, or buying something from my store are all valid means. Thanks again to all of my sponsors. Now leave a comment guessing where this footage was taken, and I'll see you in the next one. Geoperspective out.